This one here is an interesting one
You are.
as well. Why do you prioritise setting up a system before aggressively paying down debt?
Yeah, that's good because it's akin to you want to start exercising. And I used to do this
Exercise?
you used to, yeah. I was
You're
thinking
still
about this
doing
the other day.
Still playing pickleball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least once a week. Well, it's just been raining recently, but yeah, I'll
I thought it
usually
was indoors.
No. So I'll usually play Thursday night, and then I met some people at one of the social groups that they've got their own Saturday social crew. So I'm just in. So that's been fun. But it's important just to get acclimatized, and we don't want to go. So the first time I did pickleball, went out there. Yeah, it's easy, no stretching. Freaking couldn't walk for 4 days after. It was like walking like a freaking mule, like
Mitchell and man.
So what we need to do, we need to ease people into it so the systems stick.
Train for a few weeks.
Yeah, or, let's just go, if you want to start jogging for a marathon, you're not saying, Glenn, you want to run the next half marathon, go downstairs tomorrow morning and start running. You need to run up to Nobby's head.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going to get puffed about 2 meters. It's like, why don't you just get out, run around the block, go back home, get on with your life.
Yeah.
So it's building the habit and behavior. So what I want people to do, if they are new to budgeting, I want you to just put in the expenses all minimum debt repayments. If you're paying extra on your mortgage, on your personal loan, on your car loan, if you're prepaying $20 a week into your electricity bill, I want you to not factor all those extras in. Just put bare minimum. We need to know how much it costs you to wake up today based on minimum payments only, no extra savings, no extra advanced bill payments. Then we want to run the system for a few weeks because interest isn't your problem with your debt, friends. It's the fact that you spent too much money and you got to pay it back. That's the real kicker with credit cards and loans. Interest ain't your problem. You're the flippin' problem. Yeah. You spent too much. You didn't have a system and you're left with the debt.
Look it in the eye. All right, last one.
Oh.
If someone had only 1 hour to overhaul their money, I don't know why 1 hour, but let's go with that. What steps would you tell them to take?
I want them to, first and foremost, work out what type of person they are. So I want to overhaul my money. What's my natural proclivity? Am I likely to be a spender or a saver? A bit of both. We need to work that out. Then what I want you to do, I want you to list out every single expense that you have of a year. Every single expense.
Big exercise, but it's easier in 2025, isn't it?
The Glenn James spreadsheet has pretty much everything that I could think of.
Yeah.
There's some things there if you're like, oh, well, we've got to pay egg storage fees or something like that. Add it in. But people don't think about, well, probably once a year you might need new tyres on the car. It could be $500. Add it in. So we just need to, we've got a pool. Have you put the freaking $400 a year pump service or some crap so everything.
And you can filter your bank app as well anyway,
yeah,
can't you?
Sometimes the categories aren't great.
No, but I mean just the filter of saying
yes.
January 1 to December 31, how much did I spend?
Yeah, but the thing I like about this old school tactile spreadsheet, it's literally line by line. You've got to manually do it yourself
you learn
and
more.
feel, shavers, I'm spending this much on that.
Yeah,
so
I'm just thinking about the hour time restraint.
So that's it. Just write it all down.
Yeah.
Just bush maths.
Yeah.
On balance, bush maths. I'm a spender. I'm a saver. What am I? Income expenses. Write it down. Do the spreadsheet. Then I want you to look between now and the last 12 months. Were you better financially or worse financially? If the answer is worse financially, let's try and make the next 12 months good.
Yeah.
So, and then within all that, my number one question to you, don't bother starting a new system. Don't bother doing anything unless you're actually ready.
Yep. And ready, you mean in your own mind?
You've hit rock bottom. I'm sick of living week on week. I'm sick of not having savings. I'm sick of, I've set up this investment account. I moved $1,000 across. Rego came up. I had to withdraw the $1,000. If you are not ready, don't bother because it's just wasting your time. And that's the same thing if you're trying to get out of debt. Don't get out of debt just to run back into debt. So many people will go, oh, I got rid of my 2 credit cards. Yay. Oh, I've got $200 a week now. I can spend $120 on a car.
Yeah. Repeat
Don't get
offender.
out of debt just to run back into debt. You need to come to money Jesus moment and fully know that I'm ready to change. If you've already got a system, use the next hour just to go back in and optimize.
Yeah.
Have a look. Okay, I put here last year that the rates bill was $320 a quarter. Okay, well now it's $340. And update.
Do something.
Do something.
Take action, and it's the 1 percenters, isn't it? Just consistently approaching it and owning it.
But there really is no right or wrong. You know the best? Well, actually, there is. Do you know the best money system there is?
The basic of just money in, money out, right?
No, the one that works for you, your personality, and your household. And by works, I mean you've got no financial stress in your life. You're not living week on week. You're not living on the edge. You're not freaking out, I don't have $20 to fuel up fuel. The best money system is the one that works for you, your personality, and allows you to live and breathe. And the Glen James Spending Plan, and it's a free online course, everyone. Do it. There's some old branding in there because it was when we had the old podcast name. I've got to reshoot it. That will relieve financial stress if you do it and give it 3 pay cycles. Guarantee it.
There you go. You heard it
don't,
first.
I'll give you your money back.
It's what it's worth.
If somebody had debt, so from my experience just coaching, the garden variety person out there and they're in a pickle, it's been either an income problem, an expense problem, and or a debt problem. And usually 2 of those things, the debt and the expense problem, is generally due to a behavioural thing. We've lived on more than what we've earned for a long time and the balance ends up on debt and we've purchased too much and all that. The income thing, it's, sometimes that's our job and we can't get a pay rise because we're this award or we're on Centrelink benefits and some safety nets. How do you tackle bringing someone along this journey? Because the behaviour's got them into a mess sometimes. We want to get them out of the mess and stay out of the mess. So there needs to be behavioural change. How do you help people get out of debt, stay out of debt, and then go forth and prosper?
A part of our role as financial counsellors is to coach people through those situations. And that's much more of an attitudinal problem. Okay, what's your attitude towards money? What was your understanding of money as you grew up? What did your family bring to you as far as an understanding of money? And often that there's a lack of understanding around managing money, and not just through the schooling systems, but also in the family as well. Because obviously if your parents had never been taught how to manage money effectively, how the heck are they going to teach you? So a large part of that is, okay, what's your attitude towards money? What are the obstacles you're facing and how do we address those? These days, we're extraordinarily busy in financial counselling. We've typically we're booked out 2 to 4 weeks in advance. But we also work with, we've got some colleagues that are known as financial wellbeing workers, and they do a fantastic job exactly in this area that you're talking about. They will delve deep into clients' understanding or their attitude towards money. What fears do they have about money? What fears do they have about earning a higher income or controlling their expenses or their debts? And they'll work with them actively in creating action plan that addresses all that sort of stuff. How do they correct those attitudes towards their money? How do they correct the actions that they've taken to date? Give them an understanding of the consequences of their actions to date as well. Talk to them about, well, if you continue on this path, how is that going to affect you into the future? And when you start having those sorts of discussions, because they've probably never thought about, okay, if I do this today, this is what it's going to do to me in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time. And our financial wellbeing coaches are fantastic at doing that sort of stuff. So they'll do much more of that coaching discussion than what a financial counsellor will typically do.
So the financial counsellor, it's a triage critical care type service. Let's stop the bleeding. Let's, get you stable. Then we can progress to some of the mindset things with the other team that you're speaking of.
Absolutely, because we don't want to see these situations recurring later on down the track. In that case, we're just chasing our tail. So it can be a big part of a financial counselling conversation. And whether that's done in-house with that same financial counsellor, many financial counsellors are more than happy to take that on. But when we're busy and we've got those financial wellbeing coaches available to us and to our clients, we certainly take advantage of those as well.
Now, bringing it back to this year's Anti-Poverty Week, focusing on reducing stigma, we touched on it before the break. Like, what do you reckon is the most seen stigma about seeking help, speaking out? Do you think it is the shame thing or the awareness? Oh, no, awareness really isn't a stigma, is it?
No, it's more the shame thing. Yeah. And look, and as far as a community stigma goes, I think it's something that we, as Australians, we've really adopted this mentality going back to the 70s. And if you're not working, there's something wrong with you. If you're collecting Centrelink benefits, there's something wrong with you. And honestly, there could be a multitude of reasons for it, and many of them are just quite simply beyond the person's control. I see clients on a weekly basis that say to me, I've just never been in this situation before. And a month ago, they were fine. And something has happened. They're beyond their control, and all of a sudden they're in my office.
Yeah.
So, there's a big stigma around it. From a self-stigma, there's just financial stress. They're just quite simply, they're frozen, they're stuck, they're unsure what to do next, and they're just not, there's a lack of positive action because of that financial stress.
What percentage anecdotally, when people rock up to see you, is, because I like broad brushstrokes. The first one, life's happened because of nothing that I've done. It could be an injury, an illness, loss of job, systemic family, poverty, all that stuff. I'm born into this, where that's the problem, versus, no, you actually caused this problem because you spent too much, you knew you were racking up credit card debt, you need to come to terms with, you got to change you. Like, what percentage do you usually see?
I think it's good old 80-20 rule. I think 80% of it is something has occurred that clients just weren't expecting. Yep. But there is probably about 20% of them, they have taken steps in the past. They've overcommitted to credit they shouldn't have done. They're spending, they've got living expenses that are higher than their income, and they can, if they choose to do so, can take control of that. They just sometimes they're unsure what to do or how to address that. And sometimes it's just a case of saying, hey, look, if you do this, your life can be better in these different types of ways. And once you show them and once you paint that picture for them, then it makes it easier for them to take those steps, really.
In finishing, around this stigma thing for this year's theme, it can be akin, because I remember I wrote down in 2013, I went to my GP. I had some stuff going on. I was in bed basically for 5 days straight, really depressed, had some reactive depression going on. And I was so scared and nervous to go to my GP and say, I think something's wrong. And I've shared this story on the podcast, and I'll always share it. In my mind, going to the GP, and I said, I think I might be, I'm down, I'm this, I can't. I thought he was going to reach over to the drawer, get a big buzzer out, hit that buzzer. Hey, everyone, Glenn's got depression. Woo, woo, woo. Hey, everyone, get in here. And we make it a big deal and how embarrassing and all this. And he's like, He's just on his keyboard. I was like, oh, sounds like you've got a bit of depression happening there. Let's just have a look here. And it was just a little, I thought this was like shameful to do that. I thought you were going to be like, I can't believe you got depression, Glenn. So all that to say, I had the symptoms there, and it took me a while till I kind of knew what the problem was. If we go to financial hardship, are there some things that could be, what do they say, hiding in plain sight, other than I feel stressed because I'm living week on week, where someone could be in financial hardship and actually not know it? Took about a week to ask that question, but whatever.
Got there in the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that because I also think it's like, well, year on year, financially speaking, you're going backwards. Is that I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have to agree with you. And I'm actually going to step away from that just from a moment, just to illustrate the point. I used to be, before I was a financial counselor, I was a financial advisor. And one of the things that we regularly heard, not just me, but my whole financial counselling team, something we heard from our clients on a regular basis was, one of the best things you did for me was not the investment strategy the strategy that you did. It wasn't the superannuation strategy that you set up for me. It was the fact that you actually got me to sit down and do a budget. And until I did that, I had no idea how much money we were bleeding left, right, and centre. I've had some really, really high income earners as a former financial planner or advisor come say exactly that to me and just say, we had no idea. Now that we've done our budget, we know where we can start spending our money. And they're no different from many, many, many of my financial counselling clients. Until you actually sit down and put it on paper and they can see for themselves exactly where they're spending their money. And we've got a term that we regularly use in financial counselling, and that is spending leaks. There's money leaking out of your bank account, your wallet, your pockets, and it's going to something that you're spending on, you're just not keeping track of it. And once you actually put that down on paper and get that realization, not just the realization, but also the consequences of that spending or those spending leaks, it really, really changes their mindset and how they approach money going forward. So that's a big crux. And often with financial counselling clients, we'll spend the first 30, 45 minutes of a meeting sitting down and going through that with them, because that paints a really good picture for us as financial counsellor. It gives us really good insights to the sort of options that are available to them, but it gives them really good insights into what steps they can start to identify for themselves, what sort of steps they can take. So your question is really valid. Yes, we see it on a regular basis.
What do you reckon, my last question, then I'll throw to you for closing comments. What do you reckon the biggest spending leak in someone's budget is? Because I've got an answer for this and I want to see if we're similar.
Just tell you the truth, I've never really thought about this.
And there's no right or wrong answer, but my one's right.
Yeah, fair enough. I will say I've got a real big concern with phone plans.
Really?
Yeah, and I think the telcos have a little bit to answer for in this area, because I don't think they always take the best approach with setting up the clients with their plans. And I can understand the reasons for doing that. But I see a lot of clients and they'll have $1,000 overdue on their electricity bill. They'll have $400 owing on their gas bill, but they'll still be religiously paying that $300 a month or $200 a month phone and internet plan, where they really could come up with a better solution. There's lots of phones out there that will do the jobs that we need. I take nothing away. It is an essential part of our existence these days to have phone and internet access. Take nothing away from that, especially if you're looking for work. It's absolutely crucial. So I understand that people need these services, but I think they can do better, and I think the telcos can do better as well in coming up with better financial solutions for their customers.
That's a good answer. Do you want to know mine?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm really looking forward to hear yours.
Well, I reckon the absolute biggest spending leak that gets people is interest on consumer debt because the leak continues well after the thing has been consumed.
Yeah, take nothing away from that as well. Yeah, in fact, when we're looking at debt management, one of the biggest things we say is get rid of those high interest loans. Get rid of them first, because they're a hidden leak. People just don't realise, and until you actually sit down and look at their loan application and say, well, or their statement, say this is what the interest you're paying on this amount of credit, particularly credit cards. I often do financial education workshops, and one of the things I talk to them about is the fact that if you just pay the minimum repayment on your credit card every month, I'll ask them how long they think it'll take off to pay off a credit card with a static balance, not adding to it at all. And they'll regularly come back and say, oh yeah, it'll probably take 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years at most. And they're often gobsmacked to find that it could be upwards of 35, 40 years to pay that off. So it's a really good point, Glenn.
Anyway, we are right against the clock. Paul Jordan from Uniting WA, any final comments that you want to say to our listeners on this episode for Anti-Poverty Week?
Big thing is be aware of financial counselling. If you pointed out right at the start of the segment that a lot of your listeners probably won't need financial counselling services, but there's very, very likely a friend or a family member that could really benefit from the service and just doesn't know that it's out there. So let them know that it's there. Let them know it's free. Let them know that it's a non-judgmental support. All they have to do is ask and make an appointment with us. They can do that quite easily just going through to the National Debt Helpline. They're at ndh.org.au, or they can contact their local their state financial counselling organisation to find a financial counsellor close to them. And just let them know that financial counsellors are very likely going to be able to guide them in ways that they just didn't know were possible. There's a lot of unknown support out there, and financial counsellors are really good at finding it.
Awesome. Paul Jordan, Uniting WA. We'll put a link in the details in the show notes to Uniting WA's website. Thank you so much for joining us this episode for Anti-Poverty Week. Okay, do you want to read what Katrina says there?
For sure. All right. Katrina is saying, hi all, I have some big expenses looming, which I can pay outright, but I'm looking at credit cards to points hack. First is a car. After my third-hand car I've had for 15 years was taken to the scrap heap months ago. This will probably set me back $25,000 for an ex-demo. Do they even do cards? Can I split cards? The others are 2 2026 Europe trips. Amazing. All 3 are unavoidable. I can pay them outright as I'd budgeted hard for all of these, but I'm sure there's some savvy credit moves. Any tips are welcome. 2 unavoidable Europe trips sounds great.
Sounds, it's either family stuff or holidays.
Yeah.
Well, do you, and this is not an interview for you, but when you went to overseas for honeymoons and whatnot, are you using credit cards or did you guys just cash flow it with cash?
We did use credit cards as well, just because we had some expenses from the wedding that we had just before our honeymoon. So it just seemed like we're going to spend the money anyway. We had it sitting there, helped pay for our flight then off on our honeymoon. So it was a very tight timeline, which we sort of accrued and used those points, and I think it worked for us. But
yeah,
I know you're less of a fan of the points hacking life.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, if someone asks me what I think, I'll tell them. But, if you live by the sword and you die by the sword. So we know on balance, the reasons credit card exists are because people spend more than they can afford and can't pay it back in time and pay interest. That's fundamental. And when it comes to politics and religion, I'm not a huge fundamentalist, but with the credit card stuff, you kind of got to be, the whole reason they exist is to make money from sloppy emotional behavior. And everyone who's ever paid interest on a credit card has got that credit card going, I'll be able to control this. Ta-da! End up in credit card debt trying to shake it. So on the car, sure, if you're using it just to kind of flush the money through, there are some dealerships that will take the credit card, but you'll have to pay a surcharge. There are dealerships that will take the credit card, but only up to 5 or 10K. So I'm not too worried about that. For the trips, like, sure, I just did my around the world trip, and I paid for that because it was primarily a business trip with the conference and then the stuff in London. I used the Qantas business Amex that we've got in the business, which I've talked about on the podcast before, just to activate the travel insurance. So I did that. Look, you can do it if you want, but I just want to say you live by the sword, you die by the sword. When I was, like, I've just spent just under 5 weeks away, I just literally used my Up Visa debit and my Wise card, not credit at all. I used credit once because I hired a car, gave them my Up card, and they're like, oh, have you got a credit card?
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, here's one. But
They can put the hold.
yeah, I have hired cars before without a credit card, but there was a trap. In the States, weirdly, if you hired the car from the airport, they wouldn't take any other payment. It had to be a credit card. I Ubered downtown to the other location and I could use Visa debit.
Oh.
Like same brand, like Enterprise or something like that.
Did you find it so strange how you have to fill up your car with petrol in the US because you need to pay in advance,
Yes.
or if not, they put a huge holding fee on your card until they calculate how much you actually topped up. They're very trusting in Australia in comparison.
Yeah, although it's sneaking in. Like I'm pretty sure the Costco I filled up and it's prepay at the pump.
Yeah.
And they'll just do like $100 hold. But yeah, you're right. In the States, you have to go in and go, I want $50 or yeah.
So different.
Yeah. So look, I can pay for them outright as I budgeted hard for these, but I'm sure there's savvy credit moves. Any tips are welcome. Knock yourself out, but don't whinge if you overspend. Don't whinge if you end up paying. Like that's I'm probably just getting more like not as telling people what to do. I'm just like, I'm Glenn, this is what I do. And I don't go around chasing points, to be honest.
It's a good sign that she has it all budgeted for. I think that's on the right track.
Totally. But yeah, the car thing, you're going to probably cap out at 5 or 10K. And also realistically with the car thing, you don't want to just, if you're buying second or third hand car and you're hell-bent on paying some or all of it with credit card, you have to go to a dealer. If we're buying second-hand car, there might be a better deal not from a dealer. They're not going to pay with credit anyway.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
There you
Enjoy
have
the
it.
trip, Katrina. We'll leave it there. We'll come back for a short after party and I'll just take a few moments to give everyone a bit of an update. Maybe I'll share the highlights of my time
Would love to hear
overseas. So we are recording this on Tuesday the 7th of October. I arrived back in Australia 2 days ago. It's the first time in the studio for a long time. Kat, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's amazing. Feels good to be in the blue studio.
Yoo-hoo! Grab that third rail, Jimbo. Phil, do you want to read the Taylor question?
All right. So Taylor's asked, so mortgage offset / points hacking. Planning ahead because our place isn't ready and I'm just excited.
Oh, yeah!
We are wanting to have our pays go into our offset account and live off the credit card to accrue points and pay the total balance off from the offset account.
What could go wrong?
We mostly fly Virgin and their partner airlines, and I think we want to focus on earning Flybuys points. The monthly spend would be around $10,000 a month, so $120,000 a year. Who does this? Is it worth the effort? Does anyone know what the best way to compare options is?
What's your view on this point? Do you guys points hack?
I personally don't. I pay, so I used to live like this and then decided that actually it wasn't worth it because, you get caught out once and start paying interest and you start paying the interest on your credit card, it completely wipes any benefits. So we now structure our monthly spend. We put it into a bank account, and I did a budget 12 months ago and worked out what was our yearly spend, and then cut it down a little bit. And so now we put that amount of money into a bank account and we spend from cash for everything.
Yeah.
And it's helped us, like mentally helped us go, all right, this is our limit towards the end of the month. If there's not enough money in there, then we stop spending.
We do the same, very similar. We have different bank accounts for a few different things and we save intentionally into them. And the day we get paid, it moves into all these buckets. We leave a bit of a buffer in the main one just in case we get the big bill like you've done. You've done the 12 months. We kind of just fluctuate and let it roll like that, but not leaving too much.
And so could you do that with a credit card being the spending option and then?
So much harder because the way we run it, and we do this with clients, right? We kind of practice what we preach in this sense of we've got a bills account. We split the fun and the boring. So without getting too technical, we're looking at, well, what's always going to be there? That comes out of one account. What are the decisions that we're making? Lifestyle, if we're going to the pub, we're doing those things, they come out of another. But essentially, they're getting enough per fortnight for what we should need. And that's it. And so you're conscious, right? You just said it. You're actually setting the behavior in a way that you're spending your money. So it hurts a little bit more when you do it. And on the flip side, the credit card, everything goes on there. It's impossible to know that you're on top of your spending.
Yeah.
And like we've met all extremes of client, right? Even the most frugal people can slip up a little bit with that. And when you slip up, that's your balance of cost versus points.
Yeah.
Right. So if you miss, you overspend, all of a sudden, to be honest, I tuned out because before I saw the who does this, is it worth it? I don't know the answers to those because and we'll get shot down for this, right? But it is very rare.
My comment is you're so rich and wealthy, you don't need a points hack. Is that why you have that opinion?
No, that's why we set it up. That's why we set it up in that way, that if we're intentionally saving, and points is, for us, if we were points hacking, we'd be traveling with it, right? So we intentionally save our travel budget into a cash account and make it happen. Where does it work? Where's there a good balance? I think have the credit card if you've got yourself off the L plates with that structure, whatever that needs to look like. Have the credit card for the big stuff. When you buy your travel, then you might get free travel insurance with the card, with the right card. Those types
and then
of things.
you just clear it off straight away.
Yeah.
It's effectively paying it with
So
cash.
for someone who needs a bit of that, you could go to that happy medium. And I've had lots of debates with clients with this stuff over the years.
You points hack? Glenn?
No, not at all. But
You killed your credit card a little while ago, didn't you?
I did. Well, so I don't use and I don't teach using credit cards for day-to-day expenses. I don't use a credit card for day-to-day expenses. Look, the way that the thing works, most people, most of the time, can't use a credit card and they overspend. And no one thinks they're the one that fits into that, most people. Because the whole thing works because people overspend and they pay interest and that subsidizes the point scheme. My friends, this is what we call a good old-fashioned racket and most people are getting screwed. Now, just live your friggin' life. Flyby's points, they're like, okay, I've got an Amex that the business owns. And it's really good for business because I've got Rach in the team has an Amex. Jess in the team has an Amex. I just got Ryan an Amex. With the traditional banks.
I'll take one as well
Yeah,
if
I'll
you're giving him out.
Because for me as a business, it's really good because if any of them have to buy something, just sort it out. And they don't have to go into a branch like with flipping ANZ. I had to send someone into a physical branch to sign all this crap. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Then on the thing, it just says, oh, Rach has spent $90. She's bought something awesome. Yeah. So from a business point of view, it's so much easier for me to manage cards for my team.
We've got the same card.
Yeah, I think I referred you to that.
You got the sign-up bonus.
Yeah, baby.
Bonus from
yeah,
me
baby.
as well.
Sent it to my cousin Jason the other day as well. Got 80 from you, 80 from you, 80. But
that's how you points hack.
That's right, baby.
Get other people on
hacking.
credit cards.
No. But so all our subscriptions, like I don't use it. Like with the exception of the team, if they use it, if at the post office or if Ryan needs to buy something for the studio or if Jess needs to or Rach needs to buy some plugins online or something for the audio team, I'm okay with paying the 1% fee or whatever it is. Because for me, that's just an admin cost. It makes life easy. But I don't use it for anything that I use in the business that has a fee. Like I'm not one that will use it to pay the GST or the bath stuff.
I've
don't
looked at
care
those
for that.
numbers. They do not make sense
No.
at all.
However, we've got about 40 grand a year of subscriptions that are primarily US companies, like the Google, Slack,
Yeah.
Dropbox, Adobe, all this. It's all on the Amex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I use it in the business just because it's easy, and I do a bit of flying. Like I've got my Qantas Gold thing, and I've got my Marriott Bonvoy Platinum and all that. So for me, it's
You're an enthusiast.
I use the points literally because the best thing to do with points is for actual seats, not for buying a new Dyson hair wrap, not for buying a flippin' new toaster or anything like that. The best value for points are the seat upgrades. And if I'm in Melbourne and I'm coming home late, I'll put my flight in the afternoon. I'll be like, I'll put that upgrade in for business, might be 10, 15,000 points, whatever. Get fed on the plane on the way home. It's just, it works. But I do not operate my life around this. I need to optimize points for everything.
But and that's the I think a really important point is we all have credit cards for our businesses. We all do the same similar thing in our own businesses. We've got subscriptions. It's easier for team members to spend money if they need to, but none of us have it personally.
I do actually have a personal one that because I'm going overseas for a month and I just can't be bothered getting called out. I just got one.
Yeah. But it's like, so I mean, I've got a personal Amex, but I don't use it,
Right.
Like at all. It's if nothing else is, working for whatever reason.
But I don't. I just literally day-to-day expenses. I use my bank card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pay cash for everything, and that tells
Yeah.
you something. Two real advisors and one used to be
Hot
advisor.
phony, yeah.
Don't points hack. It tells you, that it's
And
important
I think
not to do that.
the whole points hacking. It's when we always churn cards. It's just going to catch up with you. And you know what? Like 10,000 Qantas points, if you use it for like everyday stuff, like car bookings or gift cards and all that online, it's kind of worth like 40 to 70 cents a point.
Yeah.
Virgin isn't.
Where they're worth less now, aren't they?
Yeah, they keep
Yeah,
on
well,
bringing
they've
it-
just
keep
come
on bringing it
down.
yeah.
Virgin ones are worse than Qantas. So if you're going to do points hacking, you're probably using Qantas.
And Qantas just announced they're reducing it again, right?
Well, yeah, this month,
Yeah.
August or September. But the value is when I upgrade, it's basically 10,000 points could be worth up to $1,000. So I don't know. You can do what you want to do, but you've got your first mortgage. Let's get excited about getting settled in the mortgage and not trying to optimize, because the minute you don't have a system, the minute you want to focus on the points, you will overspend because you'll be buying stuff. Oh, we'll put that on the card to get the points.
Our household, we save 10% of our spending annually by changing up our cash flow system. And we've got a family with 3 kids. Like there's a lot of spending in our
Yeah, that's
household,
huge.
and we save 10%
Yeah.
by getting rid of
Big
all our
time.
credit cards and just good cash flow management.
The only other thing Taylor's trying to do by putting all their pays in the offset account, and this is a bit of a salesy thing, you often see it with like a mortgage broker who wants to sell investment properties, and they're talking about the loan structure and how you get your offset account and get your credit card and everything sits in the offset and it offsets everything, right? So you're spending someone else's money while yours is working for the bank, against the bank and for you, right? But
Yeah, but
And-
you can actually
and that
crunch
makes
it on
sense
a
in
monthly
theory.
basis.
yeah, it makes sense in theory, but behaviorally, again, if your cash all sits in one bucket, it becomes very, very difficult to see what's spendable and what's not. What's it actually there for? Can I afford that holiday? Where's my emergency fund up to? Super confusing. And when confusion comes into your day-to-day spending, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
And I've done this on the fly, so it's probably wrong. So whatever. But you could work it out, like that $10,000 a month offsetting the mortgage. you might only be saving $40 a month of interest by doing that. Now, the question is, the question is, are you overspending 100 or more with the card?
Yeah.
Because there's no psychological pain when you're not using your own money. You'll be more enticed, we'll just put on the card. And I've been there, I've done it. I'll throw it on the card, guys, and pay me back, and someone forgets, you don't chase them up, so you're carrying that bag. I did it the other night with my not credit card. Or I'm not good at like ordering. There was a few of us had dinner, and I'm like, I'll get some pizzas. It was at the other factory where John's is. We hang out there some Friday nights. I'm like, I'll get pizzas, guys, and there was people coming over. Ordered like $430 worth of pizzas. Like I overcatered. There was lots of pizzas. And I'm like, I'll just get it, guys. Just hook me up. And I think one person gave me $50. Someone else for their family gave me $100. And I think that's all I kind of recouped. I'm like, whatever. But my problem, but I don't care. But it's like these little things, if you were doing it on credit.
Yeah, I'll get the points.
I'll get
you
the
give
points,
me the cash back.
but you don't chase the cash back.
Yeah.
And you don't chase it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. There's 3 people here who don't use credit for day to day, and I would hypothesize that we're financially okay. I mean, when I went to Bali in September, because I used the Qantas Business Rewards through the Amex thing, I paid, because I've just got lots of points, I paid return business to Denpasar with Qantas. You would never pay for it with cash, particularly for holidays, but it was like 330,000 points. So pretty expensive for points, but
That sounds like points hacking is a good thing then.
no, I'm saying if you would do the points, they're valuable for flights only, flights only.
Yeah.
But I don't operate my life.
You accumulated them with the business
just
spending
the
anyway,
ordinary
right?
course
So,
of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, most individuals wouldn't accumulate that much. You're spending $40,000 on subscriptions a year. Most households,
That's right.
aren't spending anywhere near that.
Now, for there's probably 20 different money podcasts and 500 people on Reddit who are saying we're dickheads. You can do this, but not everyone is like you. Most people, most of the time, will overspend on their credit card. They'll get caught out with interest payments, and their finances will be in a mess.
Yeah, the wealthier I'm getting, the more cash I'm spending, as in the
Physical.
Yeah, as in not physical. I'm just getting rid of all credit.
The more you're trying to control it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I've been answering these questions and helping people with their budget for years, and you both have. Don't try and get cute and outsmart the system, because it is designed
It's
to make you spend
gamified,
more.
right?
Yeah.
It's all about sucking you in, making it exciting.
Because when I applied for that credit card, because I knew I was traveling, this is the outrageous thing. It's just because I got the Qantas something MasterCard.
Did you give yourself a referral link to sign up personally?
No, unfortunately.
New email address.
This is the outrageous thing. They did it, and I said, because I was just like, oh, whatever, I'll see, and I ticked just give me whatever limit. I've reduced it down to I think 20 grand limit or something like that. And do you know the limit that they gave me automatically?
With an
What's
income
this
like
on?
yours, wouldn't surprise
On the
me.
Qantas
On
card.
Qantas.
Like
100?
Like 90 grand or something, 88.
$1,000 credit card
I'm like,
limit.
this is freaking, any one of this country's cooked. I'm like,
The Amex doesn't even limit you.
no,
It
I
just
put-
sets you
I-
up.
I
You
do
don't
this.
even know.
Yeah, get there. I'll open it up because you can go in. I'm full on anti-credit for day to day, but I've got it in the business and it's kind of
We
fun.
flip the script now.
Hey, everyone, in the show
How many
notes,
cards have you
there's
actually
a-
got?
There's a link to my Amex business in the show notes.
Yes.
No, I would never do
Get
that.
those.
How do you do it in the app?
That's how you
mine
point
in.
hack.
This is not an endorsement for Amex. They've wanted to sponsor the show. I will never take money from credit card companies to oh yeah, look at that. Today, Jess Knaus, she did something. It's got her name there. So it's handy. I don't know. Where do you find it, James, where you can put in the spender? Tells you how
The
much.
Amex app?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Go to, I don't even know. There was something where you could Try new features.
This is surely getting cut. This is not compelling listening.
It's not compelling listening.
We are boring everyone
boring.
to death. Taylor's left the Facebook group.
Taylor's-
She's like, I'm done
she's
with you.
convinced.
Taylor's just gone. I'm getting the Qantas Amex. I'm into it. I wanted
set
to
up a
find it.
business.
I don't know where it is.
What are you talking about?
Offers,
Offers?
membership, track your earnings, home, statements and activity. Here we go. Spending power. We got there. I'm going to put, check your spending power. I'm going to put $200,000 in. You reckon?
Where are you?
In the Amex app. Good news. You're likely to be approved
Yeah,
of a
there you go.
$200,000 purchase.
Now you can go
on
and get
Amex.
that Aston Martin.
Let's go, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Try another amount. I'll do 250.
Yeah, I just found it.
Where is it? How do I get there?
It's in
Good news. I could
just
do
searched.
250.
search up the top.
I'm going to do 300.
Check spending power.
This is.
Oh, no, it won't let me do 300, but it'll let me do
300?
250.
Okay.
All right. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.